friends. I have a very difficult job because I'm talking on a subject in which sustainability is not clearly written in the title. We are today witnessing all kinds of challenges, all kinds of turmoils. We hear about climate change, we hear about global warming, we hear about obviously all kinds of other issues that are afflicting. Well, we can look at whatever we are witnessing, that is all kinds of manifestations, but it is essential to look at the deeper reasons and foundation for this. Economics, as we are understanding today, is only 250 years old. Most of you must have heard about Adam Smith. Adam Smith wrote the book Wealth of Nations in the year 1776. That is almost 250 years ago. And that has been the cornerstone and the foundation for all that we are seeing in the field of economic activity, especially with reference to capitalism or neo-capitalism. Adam Smith came up with the idea that your self-interest, rational self-interest, and maximization of profits should be the mantra for going ahead. And if you really look at all the economic theories, they are more or less variations of Adam Smith when we are looking at the capitalism space. For almost, you would say, 100 years, this was being practiced, and it created many anomalies and many dissatisfactions and discontents in the society. And that's when you had another brilliant economist, philosopher, Karl Marx, who came on the scene, and he came up with the idea of communism. I studied at IIM Ahmedabad doing my MBA or PGDBA as it was called, and we were told that the purpose of doing business is to make profits. Or if you are a business manager, you are required to maximize profits. Maximization of profits became the only motto for being in business according to whatever were the teachings over there. And believe me or not, the entire economic activity, the profit maximization, that was without any kind of values attached to that. And that is what was done by Adam Smith and the people who came after him. You look at Descartes, you look at Newton, all these people contributed to the thought process in the economics. And today also, we are saddled with a Cartesian, reductionist, Newtonian framework of economic activity, in which we do not yet ascribe or we yet do not attribute anything to the kind of quality, the kind of qualifications that it should have. So capitalism, in my own opinion, is synonymous with pure profit. When we look at our own Devanagari, Hindi or Sanskrit, we will call it Shubh-Labh. So we have got most of the economies in the world, most of the political economies of the world following the principle of capitalism or neo-capitalism, pure profit, Shubh-Labh. When you look at communism or variants of communism, you would find that the profession, the kind of propagation that was done was to negate the profit, the private profit. So it became synonymous with zero profit. So you have got communism, which is zero profit, and that in Hindi or Sanskrit we'll call it Shunya-Labh. So we have got on one hand Shuddha-Labh, on the other hand we have got Shunya-Labh. And these two streams of thought processes have come from the West, and we have been trying to go for an amalgamation. We are trying to see how we can possibly have one or the other or have a combination. This has been going on since we became independent. I come from Rajasthan, and I used to see as a child, outside every premise, outside every establishment, home, office, or you call it a commercial establishment, two words. And I'm sure all of you must be familiar with that because that is the title of the talk, Shubh-Labh. So I was intrigued with this particular terminology, Shubh-Labh. and why in India we are writing Shubh-Labh outside each and every commercial business or residential establishment. When you look at that, you become very clear. When can Labh be Shubh? Only when it is Kalyankari, when it is a win-win. When it is good for everybody, when it is good for all the stakeholders, it can be Shubh-Labh. So India has a tradition which is the third way, neither capitalism nor communism, but the third way, which is the Shubh-Labh. Dattopanji Thengdi, one of the foremost thinkers of our country, wrote a book called Third Way. But in Third Way also, he did not bring the use of the terms Shubh-Labh. Before him, Deen Dayal Ji Upadhyay, or you talk about, say Gandhi Ji, or you talk about Bajrang Ji Gupta, all of them tried to interpret it in one way or the other. And we have got, say Gandhi Ji talking about trusteeship. We are talking about, Deen Dayal Ji Upadhyay talking about Ekatmatavad, Manavta, Manavikatmatvad, or you are talking about, Bajrang Ji talking about Sumangalam. You will find that these are all synonymous with the term Shubh-Labh. Now it is essential to see how did India inadvertently, consciously or otherwise bring Shubh-Labh into circulation. So it's necessary to go back to the history and try to at least see what exactly was the kind of knowledge system prevalent in India thousands of years ago. All of you would have heard about Chanakya. I'm sure everybody knows about Kautilya. Would you believe that until 1905, Arthashastra was buried underground? It was in that particular year, 1905, that Sama Shastri of Mysore Oriental Library discovered the treatise, the magnum opus called Arthashastra in 18 volumes. And in 1950, he published a book, or somebody else published a book, and that actually became the forerunner to all kinds of literatures that we see on Chanakya. Chanakya was obviously not an economist in the strict sense, but the kind of things that he covered on economics, on political economics, on the statecraft, go to show that Chanakya is the true and genuine founder of economics in the world. The kind of things that are covered are being probably discovered even now. He talked about opportunity cost, he talked about simple interest, he talked about compound interest, and these kinds of things are not covered by Adam Smith. Balbir Singh Sihag, Professor Balbir Singh Sihag, Professor Emeritus of Economics in MIT University, has written a beautiful book called Kautilya, True Founder of Economics, in which he has tried to explain why and how Chanakya was a way above anybody else and is genuinely the founder of economics. Balbir Singh Sihag wrote another book, very interesting book, which is called Moral Hazards, Kautilya Moral Hazards, Systemic Risk and Poverty. Again, that is worth reading. Now, Chanakya was not at all given to any religion. He was very secular in his thinking, and believe me or not, Chanakya laid a lot of importance to ethics. For Chanakya, and in Chanakya's or Kautilya's in Arthashastra, you would find that ethics are closely interlinked with economics. If you go back to the Greek history, you will find a similar concept prevail even at that time. Adam Smith himself, you will be surprised to know, wrote the first book on moral sentiments. He wrote The Wealth of Nations 17 years after the first book, which was on theory of moral sentiments. So he was also believing that economics is not only money, it is a lot more than that. Chanakya, as a matter of fact, gave shape, gave voice to our Sanatan thinking. Look at the four Purusharthas that each one of us is required to follow. Dharma, Arth, Kam, Moksha. Now this is something which is known to all of us. And Dharma does not mean religion. Dharma means ethical, Dharma means being righteous, Dharma means being moral. Moral, ethical and righteous. That is what is the third part. And in everything, Chanakya, or say the people who preceded him or people who came after him, and that, please understand, was 2,300 years ago, it was very, very clear that when you are going for for say kind of accumulation of wealth or generating income, it should be preceded by dharma. It cannot be without dharma. And that's how a person like Balbir Siag says that Chanakya's economics, the Kautilya's economics are ideally dharmanomics. These are the economics which are required to be seen from an ethical lens. 4 sutras that you would have probably heard from Chanakya. So, I'm sure you would have heard about it because these are very famous. According to Chanakya and according to Indian thinking, according to our Sanatan thinking, the purpose of life is to attain sukh. So happiness is something which all of us aspire for. It is happiness which we are all looking for. So sukhasya moolam dharma hai. The first line is sukhasya moolam dharma hai. So if you want to be happy in life, if you want to be sustainably happy in life, then you should be following ethical principles. The second line comes and says dharmasya moolam artham. So he says you cannot really be ethical if you do not have a reasonable level of income, reasonable level of livelihood. And the third line then comes arthasya moolam rajyam. So you cannot acquire wealth and keep it sustainably if you are not having a proper governance structure in the society that you are living. So third is arthasya moolam rajyam. And the fourth is again very important. And that's it, rajasya moolam, indriya vijay. So the ruler is required to be ethical. Ruler is required to be a proper and a righteous person. Only when all these things are there, you can really get the happiness. Now I take only the 2 things which are very vital for us. We are saying that dharma and earth. Once we have come into this world, we are knowing very well 4 maybe ashrams that we have to go through. We have got to generate wealth. We have got to create you can say suitable amount of affluence. And if you want to do that, it is very, very welcome in the Indian knowledge system. We are required to create wealth. Communism says that you don't create wealth. Capitalism says that you create wealth irrespective of whatever you are going to do. You can probably smuggle, you earn money, you probably can maybe commit a murder, earn money out of that. Even that is a part and parcel of approved kinds of activities under strict and pure capitalism. But not so in India, not so in our Indian Sanatan or Hindu system. So when you look at that, you will find that dharma has to precede each and every activity, and earth is something which we are required to earn. The third one, of course, is very vital, which is calm, which means enjoyment of the money that you have made, not only by yourself, but along with the family, along with the community, along with the society. So there is already a provision in our own system of expending, of consuming, but it should not be just a lust consumption. It should be a just consumption. It should be a consumption which is going to bring about happiness for everybody. So this kind of a framework has been there in India, and it is therefore time to revisit whatever is our economic thought process and put that into the new silo, which is the Indian economic thought process, if we are really going to attain sustainability. The kind of challenges that we are seeing is because of gross inequality, growing inequality, disproportionately high consumption, pursuit of pure pleasures, as we heard in the morning, just going for pleasure-related activities. Now, all those things have brought us to a path of this kind. And therefore, it is necessary to see what exactly will be the result of Indian economic thought process of Shubh-Labh, or we can rebrand, we can call it as ethical economics. If we look at ethical economics, what is going to be the result and what is going to be the impact on sustainable development goals, which UN has formulated? There are 17 goals. I would like to take only a couple of them to kind of explain how Shubh-Labh, ethical economics together can really help in attaining 2 goals. One is in health, the goal number 3. Health and well-being, if you look at, we are all today being told that allopathic system is the only modern scientific system. according to variety of sources, and according to, to many details that are available, it is now clearly realized that Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha from India, or homeopathy, from outside of India, yoga, pranayam, all of them bundled together as Ayush, is essential if we want to have sustainable health. If we want to have long-term health without side effects, if we want to address promotive, preventive, rehabilitative, and palliative part of health, it is not going to be possible without Ayush. Ayurveda in itself is a sustainable life science. Ayurveda stands for life science. It is not only medicine, it is your complete lifestyle, the kind of, say maybe practices that you do follow, the kind of foods that you do take, the kind of, the sleep pattern, the kind of thought process, ahar, vichar, vihar, all of them are covered by Ayurveda. So Ayurveda itself is a great tool for sustainability. If you want to look at the carbon footprint in the health space, you will be surprised to know that allopathy is probably the most carbon intensive medicinal science. I am familiar with homeopathy, which in my opinion is a super green medicinal system, because first of all, it is resource efficient, secondly, it is energy efficient, thirdly, it is healthy, and fourthly, it does not cause any kind of an ecological damage. Homeopathy is a super green, Ayurveda is green, Unani is green, yoga and pranayam are super green. Now, if all of them are taken together, we can obviously make the world a lot more healthy than what it is now. I'm not saying that we should not have allopathy, but a combination of the two are going to be the guiding force. Recently, in Jamnagar, a World Center for Traditional Medicine has been opened. Government of India is already giving a lot of thrust to Ayush, and there is now a talk of combining the two for attaining the health goals that we are there in SDG. And obviously, the Indian knowledge system in the healthcare is going to be responsible.